What's up, guys? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the overall markets. I'm going to break down some updates about what's happening with these levels and why I believe that although there could be more downside coming, there's also going to be a lot of potential for a big bounce coming soon. I'm going to give you guys more context about that. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. Anyways, as far as the market's going, Tesla has a head and shoulders like pattern that's developing, but we need to see it break structure around 325 to start dumping even harder. Now, I do want to note that right now Tesla's very choppy. We've been shopping around for the last couple of hours despite gapping down. I did give you guys a warning about this yesterday. And with President Trump threatening 50% tariffs on the European Union as soon as June 1st is when it's going to be starting, and 25% tariffs on Apple products unless they're made in America. That's some big news. That's why the market's dipping the way it is. So I do think that there's a lot of fear right now. The market does have potential to dip a little bit more. But simultaneously, I do think a bottom's going to be forming. I'm going to explain exactly what I mean by that. Well, what's happening is the whole market's coming down in unison. As you can tell, almost every stock in the market is red right now. So the market's moving on an algorithm that's dictating price action, and that is causing us to sync together. So with Tesla, we have this like double top here, and then potentially a lower move. If 333 fails us, we could be dipping down to like the 320s all over again. But the thing about this dip is that even if we do dip a little bit more, if we end up hypothetically losing 333, there's going to be a risk of that. I don't think we're just going to dump forever, because the closer we get to June and the closer we get to President Trump's his tax bill passing, the more likely it is for the market to see a big bounce, in my opinion. Because what's happening is, the House of Representatives passed President Trump's tax bill. Now it's going to the Senate, who are going to be talking about it. They're going to be negotiating, looking through it, trying to find compromises before they end up trying to pass it. So the Senate are now going to be looking at it, and they're going to be, looking through all the details. They could pass it as soon as next week, if not by closer to June, I think. And I think that's going to cause a very, very big move. So this could be a bullish catalyst to help the market bounce when the time is right. So even if Tesla loses 333, just hypothetically, okay, let's just say the whole market dumps, the whole market may also see a big bounce once that bill passes near next week. And we could be looking for a full recovery move by Tesla and a very, very big bullish move to the upside. Then also in June, we have a very bullish historical period for Tesla. It tends to bounce in June, firstly. And then secondly, we have the robotaxi launch in Austin, Texas, which could help the share price. So I see this dip as a buying opportunity. I don't think the market's going to crash forever. It's a buying opportunity. This is the opportunity to get bullish, to get greedy when everyone else is becoming more fearful. So could we dip more? Yes, I am open to the possibility of more downside. But if we dip more on Tesla towards like 330 or even 325, however low we go, this is just another buying opportunity for us to once again scoop up shares and such, for us to see a nice rally to continue once we get the robotaxi event and such in play. So keep that in mind. As far as SPY is going, we're looking a little weak here. So we tried to rebound only to get a rejection so far. We're going to be watching this 575 area. If it doesn't hold, we're going to be at risk of dipping to fill this gap. So we'll have like 572, then eventually 566 as our main supports. And I believe between the lower 570s to 566 is going to be a potential buying opportunity. I wouldn't go all in or way too heavy. I'm not saying to do that, or that's not what I'm doing essentially. I would start to like maybe hedge my shorts by going long. And if the market sees a big bounce, obviously you could just start getting a lot more longs. But this could be a good opportunity to start loading up on more positions. So yes, the market's bearish. We could be dipping more, but when you zoom out, we're bullish, right? SPY is on a very, very big uptrend. This is just a temporary pullback, just like how we got this pullback over here back in April before we saw this thing rocket. This is another pullback before this thing begins to rocket again, most likely. And I think that President Trump's tax bill could be a big factor in causing the market to bounce. So next week, there could be a big bounce coming, if not by June. But for now, we are a bit more bearish. So look at this as an opportunity. And I think that this is going to be a big blessing in disguise. Okay. So could we dip more? Yes, I do think we might be dipping more. If SPY does not hold above 580, we're going to be at risk of retesting 575. If that fails us, we're looking for 570. On the QQQ, We're on this downtrend for the short term. The short term, as you can tell, is downtrending, but the longer term looks bullish. We're still bullish. Could we dip to 500? Yes. Could we even dip to the 490s? Maybe. We might be coming down to fill that gap by next week. We could dip more, guys. We're still looking weak. The QQQ is struggling to hold above 508, which is not the best of signs. So I could see a risk of more downside. So keep that in mind. Even if we do dip down lower, there could still be a massive bounce coming near either the 500 area, if not the 490s. And that could actually launch us to new highs to break the 520s. So could we dip more? Yeah, it's possible. Depends on if we could hold 500. If 500 does not hold, I'm looking for the 490s, depending on how low we go. But then I'll be scooping up positions in this range before we start to see a big rebound once we get President Trump's tax bill and such, in my opinion. So it may take 2 weeks to get the full on rebound, a week or two. But for now, we have some opportunity. The IWM is trying to rebound. We're going to be watching this 201 area to see if we reclaim this. If it does, we're looking for 204. We'll see if we consolidate here before it tries to see a rebound. ES is looking kind of weak. It might continue to fall to like 57.50 if not this gap filled down here. Then we'll see if we get a big recovery move after that. NQ is looking weak here. We're looking for a move down to about 20,700. If not, we could be dipping down to the lower 20,000. So we'll see if we get a bounce from there. Bitcoin's dipping here. We're looking for basically 109,000. If it holds, we could try to rebound. If not, we're looking for more downside. On Nvda, we dipped all the way down to 128 before we saw some kind of rebound. We're going to see if we could hold 130. If not, we could be retesting 128 or below. So it depends on if 130 holds. Still kind of weak here, but we're forming a nice flag. So even if it does downtrend, we could still see a big bounce later on. There is a risk of 128 again if we can't hold 130. Apple's trying to get bought back up. We're going to see if we could reclaim 198 then 200. I do see us shuffling around the 195 area, so there's still some weakness nonetheless. For AMD, we're weak. We're barely holding this 107 area as the main support. The resistance is going to be at 110. Could try to push for 110 or a little bit above that, but overall, don't forget about this gap back down to like 103 in case we continue to fall. For Coinbase, we're weak. We were trying to bounce. We're looking to see if we can end up holding 262. If it doesn't, we're looking for a move back down to 257. Amazon's at 200, is trying to rebound a bit, but if we end up losing 196, we're looking for 193. If we get back above 202.5, we're looking for a bounce. Otherwise, we're in the middle. Meta needs to reclaim 635 to bounce. If we don't hold 620, though, we're looking for a dip to fill the gap. We're in the middle, also consolidating. Google's a bit more bullish as we're making higher lows. We need to hold 169. If we hold that, we're looking for a push to 175 or above. And Microsoft has 445 as the main support, so we'll just have to see how it ends up reacting if 450 ends up failing us. So keep that in mind. The VIX has been pushing. Nothing is guaranteed yet with President Trump. We'll see what he ends up saying with his tariffs over the weekend. But I'm just trying to say that there's no guarantee the VIX is going to reject or like really pump hard yet. There's still some risk of more downside, in my opinion, looking at the chart, unless we can reclaim and close above 580 on SPY. But the downside risk is there. Same thing with Tesla. There might be some more downside coming for the short term, but the longer term still remains bullish, and there could be a big bounce the closer we get to June. So keep that in mind. Okay, guys? Thank you for listening. This is your quick update for now, and peace out.